start by thanking everyone for being here. That crying baby in the back is mine, and that's what it's about. That's what we're here for. It makes me very happy to see everyone being here and caring enough about their country and about the children and the next generation. It makes me very happy. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. Now, why I am here? I was born in Romania. I'm a Romanian immigrant, and it's been said a few times. Talking about this housing issue, I'm gonna put the mic up a bit. Talking about this housing issue, it's not racist to be against mass immigration. It's not racist to want your own people, to want your own nation to flourish. So don't fall for the trap. Don't for a second think that you're bad for wanting your people to flourish. I'm here to talk because I came from Romania because of the effects of communism. My parents were raised under communism. I was born in '97, 8 years after the Iron Curtain fell, but I still felt the effects. The only thing that changed was that we had McDonald's, but the corruption was there, the evil was there, nothing had changed. So this country took care of me on my own couldn't, so I owe that much to all of you, is to fight and to not let the same thing happen here. Not let your leaders, they're not leaders, but yeah. So there is a communist aspect to this. But communism, it would be a trap to fall into that, to think it's just communism, it's just Marxist, it's just people who love Stalin. There's communism, there's capitalism, there's fascism, libertarianism. All of these isms all have a mistake. They're not complete. And they're not complete because they're man-made ideas. People look at the world, and many of the speakers have mentioned, there's an altruistic motive to this housing bill. And all these man-made ideas come from some sort of good place. Generally, it's people think, how could we make the world a better place? So they come up with these systems. But one or more of the speakers have said that people are generally good. What if we're not? What if the bad part in us makes these isms incomplete? So we have political problems. The housing bill is a political problem. Then there's cultural problems, social problems, sexual problems, physical, mental problems. All of these problems are bad fruit on a bad tree. So just like the idea of a hydra, this monster with multiple heads, and if you cut one off, two more grow back. I think it would be a mistake to focus on these issues one by one. We need to look at this tree. Why is it growing bad fruit? Where is the root of this tree? So the root of this tree is spiritual. I think many of you know what's going on. And I have a list of the things I want to say, and I've been writing a list of things I don't agree with that I heard tonight. So, but one of the main things is we have to stop calling them elites, leaders. Okay, so they're not. So all these groups, the World Economic Forum, the Council of Foreign Relations, the UN, and the WHO, they all believe in something. There's a spiritual aspect to this. And no matter what you believe here today, you can at least look at it factually and understand that they believe something. They are trying to become like gods. They're trying to make the world how they want to see fit. And what I want to talk about today is for us to not fall for the same mistake. If we look at them trying to make the world how they see fit, yes, some of them are evil, but many of them do actually believe they're doing a good thing somehow. So if we look at that and say, no, I'll make the world how I see fit, that's the same mistake. Even if they, it's got to the stage now, the evil is very, very, not high, low I should say, we got to big deaths. So, yes, if we react instantly, yes, we could stop some evil, but down the line, we would just set ourselves up to become like them. So, an image I like to use is, they think they're chess players, right? A game of chess has players and it has pieces. They think they're chess players, but they're actually chess pieces. Now, the same mistake would be for us to think that we are chess players and they are chess players and we're moving pieces. They are chess pieces being moved by whoever they worship, and he comes by many names. But Anne mentioned the Judeo-Masonic cult that they're in. This has been going on for thousands of years, not just 100 years, thousands of years. They go by many names, but that's the chess player moving them. So we must not fall and think that we are chess players, because we will become just like them. We will become chess pieces on the same side of them, even though we're not aware. To go forward, we have to become chess pieces in God's hand, on the side of good. So the flyer that many of you might have seen for this meeting is called Property Rights and the Sinister Proposed Referendum on Right to Housing. And I want to talk about those two aspects. What are property rights and why is this referendum sinister? Okay, so when we're talking about human rights, when we're talking about why is it evil to torture someone, why is it evil to kidnap someone, to rape someone, we have this in our heart. We don't need the Constitution to tell us. They could change every page of this, they could burn every copy, and in our hearts that would still be wrong. We have this written in our heart. Anything good that is in that blue book, in the Constitution, is based on this brown book. Well, it can have other colors, but it's based on the Bible. All these values that it has drawn, that's where it drew them from. If we make the Constitution our Bible, they can change it, but that doesn't change the truth. That would be one of these mistakes to fall for. Now, I've heard the phrase, we must defend the Constitution. They're trying to take away our sovereignty, that we are sovereign. That's another one of these traps. What if they could tie us up, and that still wouldn't change who we are? Now, so these human rights are pictures that God has painted to point to himself. Marriage, gender, family, work, food, every aspect of life, even property, even housing. These are pictures he paints with us as the paintbrushes to point to him, to make us understand him in some way. The idea of Father, Jesus taught people that, when Jesus came on the scene, people were calling God Creator, Judge, Destroyer, all these grand titles. And Jesus came lowly and calm, and he said, you can call him Father. So this idea of Father, the reason we make children, the reason my baby's crying over there. And so I could understand what it is to have a son, and he could understand what it is to have a father, and understand something of God. Now, we might not all become parents. Some people can't, some people don't want to, but we're all former children, so we can all understand. Now, I'm sure many of us here maybe didn't have the father we wanted, maybe no father at all on the scene, and that's one of these evils. That's why that is bad. When that image is corrupted, our view of God is corrupted. So this aspect of the housing, the spiritual layer of the housing bill, they're trying to erase a picture God is painting because he's painting it. So this is a fight against God. And yes, there's the worldly controlling aspect of it. They want to control every aspect. With the pandemic, it was about, they get to say how you enter shops, when you leave your house. It takes so many boxes. This housing bill and the war in Ukraine, it's going to take so many more boxes. But if we just look at it at the worldly layer, we will not understand everything that's happening. So if you read the Bible for yourself, you will see that there's a strong argument for property. God is on your side when it comes to owning your land. There's lots of talk in the Bible about helping others and helping the poor. But when you work hard for your family, the idea that you have a little fence and a little patch of land with your little vegetables in your family, God likes that. So, two images that we have in the Bible about that, there's this king called Ahab, and he wants a farm, just like what's happening now. The ruler wants a farm for his own uses, and the farmer won't sell it to him. So it's a longer story, but the king actually kills the farmer. He uses misinformation. He gets a bunch of people to slander that person, and then the whole community does the work for the leader and kills that farmer so he can take over the land. and we see the same thing today. Everything that we're seeing today is you can see it in the Bible. It unfolds, and I've heard some mentions of the horsemen of the apocalypse, the book of Revelation. That's how I started as well. I started with the last book. You know, the Bible is multiple books. That's not wise to start with the end. It's not. Yes, it's. I don't know if any of you have heard. You're all very educated on what's happening, but if you've ever heard of Marshall McLuhan, if you know one thing from him, it should be this: the medium is the message. So, for example, we'll take one example with the vaccine. When they talk about heart attacks, when you have the Daily Mirror and all these low tabloid things talking about that could be happening. But that's not the point. They're trying to change the conversation to, if you take the vaccine, you will get sick. And then one side is talking about you'll have a heart attack, and then one side is saying, I don't know anyone that has had a heart attack, and they all had it. The bigger conversation is, it's an mRNA, they're programming cells. They're setting the argument to do this down the line for, it'll be diabetes. We have found a way to cure diabetes. And then down the line it will be, we have found the cell that causes anger and sadness, and we can just make the world perfect. They're trying to make heaven on earth, and it comes back to the spiritual layer. So the medium is the message, so keep that in mind. One more biblical image is, it's written that people who move a widow's signpost, a widow's boundary stone, so we're talking specifically about, elderly, vulnerable people, the widow and the orphan, people who are living by themselves in a house, in a big house with lots of rooms. There's no claim to take it away from them. So you have God on your side on that issue. Now, that's the idea of property rights. And so why is this referendum sinister? The title of this meeting is the Sinister Proposed Referendum. These non-elites, these evil people, they're not the sinister part. From the first page of the Bible, you can see that Adam and Eve fell for that lie. You can be as gods. Don't eat the fruit, because God is afraid you'll be like him. The sinister part is that we would fall for the same lie. There's people here, I'm sure there must be someone in the crowd, because I've been to many of these protests in the past 2 years. This isn't a protest, which is what you're saying. We should be going forward with solutions, with our head on our shoulders, but there is anger. Even focusing on solutions, we're still angry. And I have to thank Ian McGarvey for his grace. I know maybe none of you were attacking him, but if he was just a regular person, and he is, we might have been not nicer to him, but because he said he's a counselor, we were out for blood. He's somehow responsible for this. I don't know politically, is there a lower level than counselor? But we're grabbing at the ankles of anyone we can. You're responsible for this, somehow go and do something. So we have to really take a deep breath. So as we go forward, that's the sinister part of this, that we would fall for the same lies. Now, as I said, all good fruit that were from the Constitution were because it looked to God. And if you look at the list of referendums, step by step, it's erasing these pictures that God has made: marriage, gender, abortion, all these issues, and more are coming. So to move forward, we have to look at this from a biblical perspective. Even if you don't believe it, at least look, so we can move from a reactionary, instead of reacting to everything that's happening, scratching our heads saying, this is a mental world we're living in. You can see the next step. Now, so that is the lies. I went on a tangent there. What I wanted to say is that I'm sure there's someone in this crowd who's talked about frequencies, who thinks about crystals and achieving positive vibes. That's part of that sweet, sweet lie. They're using that power for bad, but we could somehow obtain that inner peace for good. That's the lie of trying to become a chess player instead of a chess piece. And I know it doesn't sound exciting. We want to be the chess players, but that's the lie. That's the lie they fell for. Now, I just want to give a couple more images. So this image of God painting with us as paintbrushes, he could paint some really great pictures with us if we just trust him. If not, some bad pictures are going to be painted with us. Now, Let me ask you some questions. Is it better to fall off the left side or the right side of a horse? It's better to stay on the horse and go forward. If you're on a road, is it better to go on the left or the right ditch? It's better to keep going. Now, what cures thirst better? Coke or Pepsi?
Vodka.
Vodka or water. So this is this idea of politics, of Coke or Pepsi. So this is part of the lie of focusing purely on politics. I'm not saying to do nothing. There's every aspect of life Jesus can be inserted into, and we can go forward in that truth. But if we look at it purely at the political stage, we won't get very far. So with this idea of Coke or Pepsi, I just want to read a short passage, and then I have some pamphlets here, some leaflets about my personal story of I looked at the problems of the world over the span of years, me and my wife, and we saw that, if you put all these problems in one corner, at the other corner, it is Jesus. And we were not raised Catholic, Christian, anything at all. We had no bias. But we were honest with ourselves and we said, all these problems, the opposite end is Jesus. You can be Buddhist, you can say this, you can say that, and it's fine. But if you say this name of Jesus Christ, it's a strong reaction. People jolt back, people say no, people get angry. And this energy that people don't have for Buddha to attack him, they have for Jesus. So why is that? So these leaflets have my personal story, and then I have the Gospel of John, which I'm going to read a short passage from this. If you want to read the whole Gospel, and I just urge you, I want to keep it short. God willing, there'll be more meetings, but just go forward in that and consider that going forward. So this passage, I'll start it in the middle when Jesus was traveling from one town to another, and Jacob's well was there, and Jacob, for the Jews, was who's a very well-respected Republican fighter for Ireland. We can think of many names. So Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon, when a Samaritan woman, and this is just a nationality, when a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" And in brackets, his disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You're a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" And then in brackets, for Jews do not associate with Samaritans. So this was an ethnic, national conflict, which we see today. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." "Sir," said the woman, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water, welling up to eternal life." If we keep drinking the water, the Coke and Pepsis of the world, our souls will always be thirsty. We'll always keep asking ourselves, why isn't this working? Where's the problem? What can I do next? If we drink the water instead of the Coke and Pepsi, the water of life, our souls will not be thirsty again, and we will be able to go forward, not fighting for victory, but fighting from victory. God has already won. It's written in the Bible that the devil knows his time is short. This is why these people are doing this. They're trying, I'm sure you know about the technocracy with the computers. They're trying to extend their lives and as much control as possible, because they know what happens when they die. So let's not fall for the same mistake. Thank you very much.